Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Anton, and welcome to today's video for Legends of Runeterra. What are we doing today? Today we are going to be looking at more cards. It is spoiler season for the upcoming Legends of Runeterra set, Forces from Beyond. Probably not going to be that long of a video today. We only really have, I believe, 4 cards, 4 actual cards, and like 3 tokens. More of the husks, similar to the I think it was called Warded Husk from yesterday that we saw, the 1-mana 0/1 with Spell Shield. We have some of those we'll talk about a little bit as well, but 4 actual playable cards. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't find these cards exciting. I don't think any of them are even strong, because sometimes cards can be strong but boring, or look strong but just seem boring, kind of like how I think Supercharge is right now. I just don't think any of these cards are too good. I don't think they're strong in a vacuum, and the theoretical archetypes they would go in my opinion, are really weak, and these cards aren't helping those archetypes and fixing problems those archetypes have. But enough talking, let's go and look at the cards that were spoiled today. We have 4 of them, so it shouldn't be too long of a video, so let's stop rambling and look at the cards. Alright, Frozen in Fear, Cracking Ice, Captive Yeti, Solari, Stellacorn, and the 3 new Husks. So as I said, not many cards, but we have some cards to talk about, so we'll talk about them. First off, what do we have? We got Frozen in Fear. Frozen in Fear is a 4-mana slow spell, frostbite an enemy, summon a Rhymefang pack, grant it +1/+1 for each time you frostbite enemies this time. I can't remember the name of the card. I think it's like Rhymefang Den Mother or something. The 6-mana 5/5. It summons a Rhymefang pack. Rhymefang pack is basically a 1/1 with Overwhelm. So you're basically playing this spell to freeze something, and then you're getting a sizable Overwhelm unit. At least that's your hope. So I'd say like you probably want to get at least a 4/4 Overwhelm. Is this good? No. I don't know. Like, here's the problem with this card. I look at this card, and you know what it actually kind of reminds me of? Ice Veil Archer. I think that's the name of the card. The 2-mana 3/1 that freezes when you play it. The problem is, that card actually pierces through Spell Shield because it's a play ability. So you can use it to freeze things like Ruin Runner. The other problem with this card is, 1, it's twice as expensive. It's 4 mana instead of 2 mana. You can argue, sure, you can use spell mana. Yeah, I guess, like, you being able to use spell mana is nice. But I really just feel like I'd rather use Ice Veil Archer a lot of the time. If I'm not getting a 4/4 with this card, then I'm not really interested in this card. Slow speed does hurt, but they could never make this burst speed. This card would be busted at burst speed. Freezing something and getting a blocker, all for 4 mana at burst speed, that's way too good. Maybe at fast speed. Like, here's what I was thinking. Like, I know there's no fast speed freeze spells, but this could have been a good fast speed freeze spell in my opinion. And I know why. They've mentioned why they don't like to make it fast speed. Same with like why they don't want to make combat tricks fast speed in general. But it could have been like Concussive Palm for Freljord. You know, Concussive Palm is the 4-mana stun a enemy unit, and then you get the 3/2 that actually, if you bounce back to your hand, it becomes a palm again, which is kind of cute. That's a very strong card in Ionia. This could have actually been similar to that. It would have been a great control card in Freljord Control, which is already kind of decent because of things like Avalanche, Ramp, and Blighted Ravine, and Field of Rush. But as it stands now, I don't think this is a control card. I think you definitely have to be playing this in an Ashe deck. Like, if you're not playing this in Ashe decks, what deck are you playing this in? I don't think there is a single deck you would play this in if outside of Ashe decks. And this is not what Ashe decks need. Ashe deck's biggest weakness, especially, I feel very confident in saying this now, after playing some Ashe LeBlanc, playing a relatively large amount of Ashe LeBlanc games recently on my stream, they just have kind of mediocre early game. Like, their turns 1 through 3 just feel a little lackluster and weak. And sure, you can argue, well, you're going to just bank mana so you can have freezes and troll chant mana. Sure, whatever, but you still want to play at least a unit or 2 between turns 1 through 3. There's like the Avarosan Trapper, and that's probably the best thing you're doing like turn 3 or previously. Trifarian Glory Seeker is just a little too fragile with the 1 health. Omen Hawk's okay, but the RNG aspect of Omen Hawk is a big problem, so I feel like if they want to make Ashe better, they need to give it better early game, or just something like that. Maybe they want turns 1 through 3 to be weak for Ashe decks, but Ashe decks just need something, and they've just been giving out so many buffs, so many cards to Ashe decks, and they just haven't gotten anything. Maybe Ashe Thresh with Frozen in Fear, maybe that can come back, but that's always been a weird deck anyway. The idea with Ashe Thresh is you play Ashe, you play Rekindler. Ashe is going to be your biggest card, so then eventually, if you still need it, you play Harrowing, you get a board full of Ashes, you attack in, all the Ashes freeze the enemy board, and they can't block, which is pretty cool. But yeah, as for this card, I don't think it's a playable card. Unless I can get like a 6/6, I'd say I need at minimum a 4/4. And I'd be happy if I'm getting a 6/6, and that means you froze 6 times a game, and that's actually kind of hard to do. If you've frozen things 6 times, you're probably already in a winning spot. So I guess you could argue, I guess if you freeze 6 times, it gives you a 7/7, but still 5 times. If you've frozen things 5 times, you're probably already in a good spot, in my opinion. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe a freeze control deck can come around, but I don't think it will. Cracking Ice, more freeze support. 1 mana burst speed spell, grant an enemy frostbite me at the next round start. I think the big problem with this card is it just doesn't feel like it's a strong enough effect to warrant a whole card slot in my deck. Like, I can see playing 1, maybe even 2 of these in Ashe decks, and maybe even as a tech card in the right meta, but I don't know. I wish it kind of was like a little more expensive, like 2 or even 3 mana, and it just had like also draw a card on top of it, or maybe even like draw an extra card at the start of the next round or something like that. Or this also really, like, as it is now, it feels like a card that's being created by another card. Like, I don't know, like a 3 mana 2/3 that says like I don't know, like 3 mana 2/3 impact, add a Cracking Ice to your hand or something like that. But as a standalone card, I'm not a big fan of this. It just feels a little too weak as to merit a card slot. I will say this though, I can see a little bit of synergy with Ashe decks, and that is you play this the turn before you go for the big Ashe turn, where you have the Ashe on the field, and then you swing with a big board and you try to freeze your opponent's entire board and basically make it so they can't block because of how leveled up Ashe works. But while that's cute and while that's a strong play, of course, to freeze the entire board so you can get so they can't block, that's not the problem Ashe has. Again, Ashe needs help in the mid game. Or in the early game, they need help to get to that part of the game where they're trying to freeze the entire board and smash in for like 15 damage or whatever it is. So yeah, Cracking Ice isn't doing that, but I can see maybe a 1 of Cracking Ice in Ashe LeBlanc decks. Ashe LeBlanc does have quite a few tech slots because, in all honesty, it's not a good deck, and a lot of cards in the deck are bad and can be taken out for other things. So you could probably play 1 of in that deck. I'd honestly rather just play something like Elixir of Iron or another freeze like a Brittle Steel over this. Now, the card that I think is the most powerful and most likely to see play out of these cards, Captive Yeti. Kind of a boring card, in all honesty. It's a Yeti, 6 mana 5/5 with Overwhelm. So it's got Yeti synergy too on top of that. Just a big unit with Overwhelm. It also has Reputation. Reputation, I cost 3. So it'll be a 3 mana 5/5. It's just Callous Bone Crusher. That's all this card is. It's Callous Bone Crusher, the Shuriman card, after they buffed it. I will say this, though. Noxus Freljord Yetis is a thing. It's not a good thing, but it does exist. It's, most Noxus Freljord Yeti decks I see are mostly just mono mono LeBlanc. They only play LeBlanc, no other champion, and they try to get Reputation active, and at the same time they play Yetis. And they just get like lots of 5/5s in the mid game, and they do kind of struggle to close out the game, I've noticed. So I guess a relatively, I shouldn't say big, but an overwhelmed Yeti will help them close out the game. But I don't know. I don't think that deck is good. I think that deck is just meh, and just is. I feel like it's just a mediocre stat-oriented mid-range deck that, if you want to play that playstyle, you're better off probably doing something with Demacia and Rallies if you want to do that, or Bard in general. So it's good for an archetype that exists and is bad, but that's the problem, is that archetype is bad. Now, granted, this could be support for future champions, Nunu and Willump, Yeti boy champion. So maybe Nunu will make Yetis good. Like Nunu, LeBlanc, Freljord, Noxus, Yetis in the future might be a thing in a few months, but for now, I really don't see this card alone making Yetis be a thing. Maybe with the landmark we saw yesterday too, play it in your Yeti deck as well, so you have LeBlanc and all the Yetis with their 5+ power, so you can use the landmark to rally after you attack with all of your 5+ stuff. So that seems actually kind of cute. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of this card. Great art though. Like, I will say this, while I'm not too impressed by these cards, they do have some beautiful art. Speaking of beautiful art from a card I'm not impressed by, this guy, Solari Celicorn. All I have to say with this card is I don't know what's going on with this card. I think this card is trash. I think this card is unplayable. I will admit, there is one deck I can see this card being played in, and even in that deck, I'd rather play other things, and that's Soraka decks, Tom Raka. But Solari Celicorn, 5 mana, 4/6, Daybreak, heal all allies by 3. It's trash. Beautiful art. And that's actually making me upset. It's got such beautiful art, and the card itself is so bad. If it healed your Nexus, I'd be a little more willing to give this a try. But here's the thing. I think it's called Resplendent Stellacorn, the 5 mana 5/6. They recently buffed it. It used to be a 4/5. It's just a summon ability, play ability, heal 1 unit for 3, and then heal your Nexus for 3. I'd rather just play that card most of the time over Solari Stellacorn. And the reason for that is, 1, I am not limited by Daybreak, and 2, healing the Nexus is pretty good for like a Targon Soraka deck. Now you might say like, okay, but isn't this really good in like Soraka Star Springs? Kind of. First off, again, you're limited by Daybreak, so you have to Daybreak this. And number 2, this only gets better than Resplendent Stellacorn if you have 2 units and both of those units are damaged. That's actually not that common of a thing if you play Soraka decks, because at least at a high enough level, people start to realize, I'm not going to attack into the Soraka player. They want me to attack in so they can block, get damage on their units, and then heal it back up. So your opponent, unless they're like a very, very aggressive deck, are not going to attack in unless they have really powerful attacks, maybe some removal to finish them off, or they're just going to keep working towards a late game plan that will just destroy you, like, you know, Tibalk's or Riptide Rex powered by Tibalk's, maybe a big Winding Light turn, maybe some kind of invoke into a Celestial kind of win con or something like that. So that's why I'm not a fan of this card. I just really don't think it's a good card at all. Smaller is like smaller stats than Resplendent Stellacorn, doesn't heal the Nexus. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of this card. I really don't think any deck wants this. Even Tom Raka or just Soraka decks in general don't want this, in my opinion. And I've played a lot of Soraka. Like, I love Soraka decks, and I would not play this in a Soraka deck. But yeah, that's all of the cards. We'll talk really quick about the Husks as well. Desperate Husk, Stubborn Husk, and Enraged Husk. Still not really sure how we're getting these cards, but it's pretty much all but guaranteed these are coming from Evelyn somehow. It seems like the Husks are all just going to be the same stats. They're all going to be immobile, can't attack, can't block, and they'll just have a keyword. Basically just being a way to give a unit a keyword when you play that unit. So far, we've got Spell Shield that was revealed yesterday, Fury, Regen, and Challenger. Seems like they're all from different regions too. Like this guy's from Noxus, Freljord, Targon. I believe the Spell Shield one is from Shurima. So we're probably, I don't know if that means we'll get one Husk from every region, but that means we might. So that would mean we still have things like Ionia, which could be elusive, Vandal, which might be impact, sadly, which is kind of low in terms of, well, impact. Maybe Demacia could be Scout. I'd hope one of the regions would be Lifesteal, but they really, really seem to not like Lifesteal stuff in Runeterra at the moment, so we probably won't get Lifesteal. Bilgewater might be Overwhelm. Bilgewater is not really well known for Overwhelm. Overwhelm's mostly a Noxus and Freljord thing, but Bilgewater has some Overwhelm stuff. But yeah, like, it's nothing crazy here. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, none of these cards really just make me want to get me hyped up, basically, for the upcoming expansion. I'm like, okay, unplayable Targon card, a Yeti card, and a couple of freeze cards. Like, no control cards. I mean, unless you want to count Stellacorn, which I don't count Stellacorn as an anything card. I don't count it as a card. It's just bad. I look at, like, other card games would call Stellacorn pack filler. That's what the card is. It's pack filler that you should not be playing in your deck unless you like are a new player and you just don't have that many cards. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today. I'd love to hear your opinion on these cards. Like, what do you think? Maybe you think I'm being too harsh for Stellacorn and you think it's better than I'm giving it credit for in, say, like a Soraka deck or another deck I'm not thinking of, but I honestly don't think it's that good. Maybe you think Ashe can come back with these freeze cards. Of course, just like leave your thoughts down below and just how wrong or how right you think I am. And if you guys just enjoyed the video in general, I'd love it if you could leave a like or a comment down below. Always helps me and my channel out. And if you guys want to keep up with the Legends of Runeterra content, you can always go and subscribe to the channel as well. And if you want to watch me play some Legends of Runeterra, you can go and check me out over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Zeneton, where I stream pretty much every single day. Anyway, though, with that all said and done, thank you all once more for watching this video, and until I see you guys in the next one, bye!